What are the hurdles of India to getting permanent seat in Security Council of UN? Your father is additional district judge.
Yes, sir.
What are the main reason for delay process of the case of Indian judiciary system? What are the main reasons? Name any three to on Indian Security Council permanent member.
Yeah, please come in. Sit down.
Thank you, sir.
You are Mr. Anshul Bhatt.
Yes, sir.
You did your BA in 2021.
Yes, sir.
What have you been doing after that?
Sir, I've been associated with a few NGOs after that, and I've also enrolled myself in LLB first year in Campus Law Center here in the university.
I've been marking that it's the CBSE 12th more topper. After that is AIR 222. What is this? CLAT?
So this is CLAT. This was the common law admission test that I had given after mid-20.
So you got it.
Yeah, I've got into
ranking.
Yes, sir. I got into Nalsar Hyderabad and NLU Bhopal.
And your DU LLB 43. What is this?
So this is the entrance test for the DU LLB. I had secured 43 rank in that, all over India. And there was another test called the DU entrance test.
DUET. What is this?
So this is DU Delhi University entrance test, and in this I had also secured a good.
So you're opting for which?
So I had gone to LLB through this DU LLB route. This DU LLB
route, right? And I'm also marking that you are interested in mountaineering and rappelling.
Yes, sir. I'm more inclined towards rock climbing and rappelling.
It was rock climbing. Yes, sir. And what is this one bid was treasure hunting college?
So, sir, these were different competitions that our college had organized. So I had taken part in that, and I had also had the opportunity to win it.
You are also a co-founder of Vivekanand Study Circle.
Yes.
Is that in school or in college?
So this was in college, especially during the pandemic time when the college was closed. So we had organized this online thing where we had students from all over college and from different years. And after the college opened, we continued it. We had some reading sessions outside there. There's this university plaza there. We also organized some online sessions.
You're also interested in graphic designing.
Yes, sir.
2D. What does this indicate?
So this is the 2D graphic designing. Like I'm much inclined towards designing logos or mascots of different things. Like we have this logo here, Khan Global Studies, so I can design that. But I've also worked with one of the larger groups of graphic designing. It was called Helsam Creations. We had around 50,000 members on Facebook. It was a Times of Facebook, so I was working with them, so I had earned a little bit. This was during my 10th and 11th class.
And you've also been applying for CAPF examination, Combined Defense Services.
But sir, I did not went and gave.
You have not. Right. You haven't done your postgraduate.
No,
otherwise.
No, sir.
So you're essentially into law.
Yes, sir.
And you've also done your BA.
This is from my.
This is not an honors course.
No, sir. This is BA program.
Economics.
Yes. Political science and history were
Political
my core
science,
disciplines.
English, history. How good are you in economics?
Sir, I had only studied it for a semester in college, but I've studied it for my journal studies, so I'm okay-ish with it. My core disciplines were political science and history. Okay.
Should I ask you something about economics?
Sir, as you please, sir.
What is the repo rate?
Sir, repo rate is the rate at which the bank gives credit, or the RBI gives credit to the banks.
What is the stance of the RBI on the repo rate at this point of time?
So since the inflation has been controlled, so there are some members of the MPC that are saying that we should decrease the repo rate, so more credit can be given to the banks and the economy can grow very well.
But for how many times has the repo rate been kept constant?
Sir, I'm not aware about the exact details. I'm very sorry for that.
Do you know something about the interim budget?
Yes, sir. I've given it a cursory reading.
Quite right.
Yeah. Should I tell more about it, sir?
Yeah, certainly.
Sir, the interim budget focuses on four domains with youth, farmers, Nari, and to alleviate poverty. But as we have seen in this interim budget, there were no big bang reforms announced, as we had seen in the previous interim budget when Mr. Modi had announced the Kisan scheme that was giving 6,000 rupees to every farmer. So,
why do you call Mr. Modi when Mr. Modi himself says that you address me as Modi?
sir, in fact, I should be addressing him as Honorable, the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, but sir, I will have to, if I have to go into services, so I'll have to address him. So I'm just doing.
What is multi-dimensional poverty index?
Sir, it was a creation of UNDP and OPHI. So it has broadly, it calculates poverty as a multifaceted thing, because poverty is seen as deprivation of needs, and it was calculated using the economic things, like a poverty line of $1, below that would be poor and above that would not be poor. So in the multi-poverty dimension, in the multi-poverty index, so we have three key indicators relating with standard of living, then education, and that economic deprivation. So it encompasses all the different aspects and then gives us a holistic multi-poverty index to calculate poverty.
The government says, or the government claims,
Yes, sir.
and this is based on the study by the Niti Aayog, that the poverty in India has come down by a figure of around 22 crores.
Yes, sir.
What are the indices on which they are saying this? They are saying this.
Sir, basically they have used the data of NFHS 4 and NFHS 5, and there are some other sample surveys conducted by the NSO and NSSO. So they have used those data, although I'm not aware about the exact names, but I'm sure that NFHS 5, 4 and 5 have been used in this.
Your strong point is your strong point is political science or history?
Political science, I would say, sir. But history is equally fine.
Equally fine in history as well. So let us talk something about political science and especially about elections. What electoral reforms do you think should be done so that the entrance of money and the entrance of criminals is totally banned or kept away from politics? In your view?
Sir, in my personal opinion, I think what we should focus is on voter awareness, because whatever reforms we do, there's a way people will try to circumvent it. They'll find a loophole and do that, because we had many schemes earlier as well and many pronouncements by the Honorable Supreme Court, but we have seen that people have found a way through it. So the first and the most important step would be aware the voter, so that the voters themselves do not vote for the criminals or the people who come from dynastic politics, etc. And other than that, I think there should be a partial state funding of elections.
Have you heard about T.N. Seshan?
Yes, sir.
What has he famously said about this aspect of politics?
Sir, I'm really sorry, I have no idea about this. I'll read more on it.
How do you react to the proposal of the government about one election, one nation?
Sir, it is indeed a good step, but as we have seen, there are some misgivings about it, that there are certain problems, legal problems as well, and other problems with the federal structure of the country, and what would happen of the state, the running governments, what would happen to them if we do this one state, one election. So I think what we can do is we can break it down in smaller steps. Like we can have elections of the states and the National Assembly that are closer together, like Punjab, Uttarakhand. We can start clubbing with those, and we can move forward.
You're also connected to the judiciary. Your dad
Yes,
is a judicial officer.
yes, sir.
And you've also done law.
Yes, sir. In my first semester, sir,
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yes,
So that exposes you to the field of law and justice.
sir.
What are electoral bonds?
So electoral bonds was a recent scheme that was introduced by the government. So what essentially happens, SBI issues electoral bonds, and the donors who want to donate money to their parties, they can buy those bonds by depositing the money in the SBI, and then they can give those anonymous bearer bonds to the political parties that they want to donate to. So by this, it would eliminate the entry of black money in the system.
When you have a legislation, in fact, the first portion talks the intent of having that legislation. What does it talk about? What does it talk about? So when the electoral bonds are concerned, and there's also been a judgment on the issue of electoral bonds. Can you tell us something about this?
Sir, the intent of the electoral scheme of this electoral bond scheme was basically to eliminate black money, and second was to ensure transparency in funding, so that the companies are not coerced if other parties come into power. And the recent judicial pronouncement on this was some had gone to the Supreme Court in this electoral bond thing, because they said that there was no transparency in this thing, because whoever is giving their money and whoever is issuing the bonds, the SBI has their data, and the SBI data is accessible to the central government, whereas that data is not accessible to the voters, and that would inhibit their right to know. That is enshrined under Article 19 of the Constitution.
No, but you have mentioned that it will cut off the production of black money.
Yes, sir.
It will also keep everything transparent. But if you see the entire arrangement within the electoral bond system, they're not talking about transparency. Who is giving? They can be anonymous, anonymous donors also.
Yes, sir.
Then there are certain things which are out of the purview of being in the public domain. Who has given what? Is also not to them. Then what transparency are we talking about?
Exactly, sir. So this was a shortcoming of this scheme. Although the problem with the black money was sorted, but this thing remains, and I do think so. We have to work towards it.
Being a student of political science, do you really think that the problem of black money in elections has been sorted out?
No, sir. I've been on the ground. I've seen how many crores and crores have been.
Then you're contradicting your own statement. But anyhow, thank you so much.
Anshul Bhatt,
Yes, sir.
what are the role of AI in graphic designing?
So we recently were saying you just type in a sentence and it would make the whole graphic for you. So it has.
So what the graphic designers will do?
Well, I think it would eliminate the graphic designers who are not very good, but it would make the work of graphic designers who are very good. They would be needed more. Because what essentially is happening, if I am not that good in graphic designing, AI will replace me. But if I am a good artist, then AI would not be able to replace me. In fact, I would help rectify the AI mistakes that it would do in its work.
So in coming future,
Yes, sir.
anyone wants to become a good graphic designer, you need not to become a good graphic designer. You have to become a good artificial AI designer.
Yes, sir.
What are the role in future of graphic designers?
I think it has to do more with creativity. So in order to be a good graphic designer in the future, you'll have to be a very creative person. Because even when we are creating designs through AI, we are giving it certain prompts. And to even create those prompts, you have to be very creative. What specific needs what you do. And after you have the final result through AI, like through Midjourney and etc., they give you a final result. But if you have to rectify it more, then you will certainly need a graphic designer. Then if you have a logo, then you will have to integrate that logo in a video or on a poster. You have to make different posters. So then a graphic designer would help you more than an AI.
What are the hurdles of India to getting permanent seat in Security Council of UN?
I think the biggest hurdle is China, because China would veto every effort. That is the first thing. And the second thing is,
on which ground China take veto on Indian Security Council permanent member?
sir, the de facto thing is it is in its own self-interest to not allow India to rise. And the second thing is, then it says then there are other countries like Pakistan, it should also be given a permanent seat then, if India is being given a permanent seat.
So we have no problem, because if China will promote Pakistan to become a permanent member in Security Council, then China and France will veto on Pakistan. Right. So we have nothing to lose in this game. Yes, because definitely France will veto on the entry of Pakistan in permanent Security Council in UN. So why we are concerning about Pakistan?
But sir, then India's induction would be linked to induction of Pakistan. If that would be vetoed, China would veto India's induction in Security Council.
And second hurdle?
Second hurdle, sir, some countries see that in Security Council you need a decisive force, but India is seen more as a fence sitter. Like even in the recent Ukraine-Russia conflict, we have seen that India was sitting on the fence. It was supporting both sides essentially. Well, some countries say that that would be a hurdle. Then the third hurdle would be that India would have to allocate substantial resources for UN, and would it be right when India in its own is a developing nation? That is another. And the fourth thing is, sir, some people say what is the use of getting in the Security Council if you do not get a veto? then there is problem of this, if would India get a veto or would India not get a veto in the Security Council. That is another issue.
Anshul, think the another side of the coin.
Yes.
If India will get a permanent seat in Security Council, there are lots of challenges will India face. Because if we use veto, then it's become a new challenge. If we not use veto, then it's become a new challenge. Should India will get this permanent seat or not? What do you think?
So in my personal opinion, I think India should go for a permanent seat in Security Council, because then it would allow us to reach towards our own goals and national interest. And since India sees itself as a Vishwaguru and as a rising power, as a global power, so I think India deserves a place, and India would need a place in the Security Council.
You have heard about the book written by Chanak named Arthashastra.
Yes, sir.
This book was totally related to the politics,
Yes, sir.
which is your optional subject.
Yes.
Why the name of that book is Arthashastra?
So according to my limited understanding, I think Arth, that is money, that is the root of all the nation, that is the root of development. So without a good economy, you cannot have a good statecraft, or you cannot have good relations with neighbors, or good defense things. So I think that was the reason he kept the name Arthashastra.
Your father is a additional district judge.
Yes, sir.
What are the main reasons for delay process of the case of Indian judiciary system? What are the main reasons? Name any three.
I think, sir, the first reason is the overload of cases. There are much more cases than a single judge can handle. That is the first thing. Then there are adjournments from the lawyer side as well, because they'll say that the witness has not arrived today, or there are some other issues, so there will be adjournments from the lawyer side. Then the third is there are appeals and appeals after appeals. You go to the civil court, then there is an appeal to the ADJ court or to the DJ court, then from there you go to the High Court, then you can go to the Supreme Court. So that is also a reason.
There are lots of similar cases are pending in various district courts and high courts across the country. Should we use AI to implement or faster the cases or litigations or which is pending in various courts across the country? Are you thinking to use AI in this judicial process?
So in fact, AI can help us very greatly. In fact, AI is being used in the courts right now. There is one AI thing called a SUAS, SUAS. So what it is doing, it is translating judgments into different language. Then there's another thing called SUPACE, SUPACE. It is helping judges to as a law researcher, and it gives them inputs so that you can use in your judgments.
Do you think only English? Why only English are used in Supreme Court and High Court?
Sir, this is also colonial legacy. And then there was because of this, what should we make? There was a debate in the Constituent Assembly. What should we make our official language? Should it be English and Hindi? Then to placate the feelings of the southern state, it was decided that Supreme Court especially, we would have English only as a language, and the High Court and the governor can choose to add other language apart from English. Like in our own High Court, we use English and Hindi, whereas in Delhi only English is used.
Whereas High Court use only
English.
Only English.
Supreme Court.
Recently, which is High Court passes judgment in the local language?
Okay. Sir, I'm not aware about it.
Kerala High Court.
Kerala High Court.
Okay. Do you think the present Indian school education system educate for a comprehensive development of a student, or it should be changed?
So indeed, I think there are some spheres we can implement changes. Recently, also they are having changes in the CBSE curriculum, and we had the NEP, etc. So I do think so. There is a need to change, and in various other reports like the ASA report, etc., we have seen that people are not able to do that well. Like a person studying in 4th class do not know how to read a basic text of 2nd class. So there are certain problems. So I think there is a need to be rectified.
We are also pursuing LLB.
Yes, sir.
Should we join LLB by distance learning program online or not?
So I do not think so that it would be possible through this distance learning.
What are the hurdles for this online program? Because in the present era, it's an era of digitalization.
Yes, sir.
But we cannot digitalize LLB course. Yes, no one can join this LLB course by the distance learning.
Right. So, sir, first of all, it is because of the BCI. They have to issue rules, etc. to make this. If they do, we can do that. But there will be certain hurdles, like law is a very practical thing. So you'll have to go there in the class, talk to the teachers, dwell into the finer niceties. Then you have to go and practice under an advocate. And sir, if we digitalize this thing, there is a concern that many frauds can take place. So someone would just join it and not study, have exams written by some other person. So that could be a concern. Maybe that is why BCI has not allowed this yet.
Okay. Why there are a tremendous amount of ice on the top of the large mountains? What is the reason behind this?
I think that the altitude is the prime reason.
Why the temperature decreases gradually when we are going upside the altitude?
Sir, near the surface of the earth, the atmosphere is denser, whereas it is rarer in the upper atmosphere. So what happens, the sunlight and the heat is not trapped in those atmospheres. That is why as we go up, we feel that it is getting colder. Whereas if we go further up, so it would just start to warm up again because it is exposed to the incoming solar radiations and there is no things available there to protect it.
China is playing an aggressive role in Indian Ocean.
Yes,
to counter the dominance of India. Why India is not playing an aggressive role in South China Sea to counter the logics of China like line, dash line, Paracel Island, Spratly Islands, and supporting the nations, neighbors of the country of China, like China is supporting and death trap to like Sri Lanka, Maldives also. Why India is not aggressive at the point of South China Sea?
Because sir, India is basically tied up in the subcontinent, especially in our western region with the Pakistan and the northern region with the land border with China. And China's defense budget is almost 10 times that of ours. So that is why we are tied up in the subcontinent. We are more inclined towards the army because we have to protect our borders. So sir, this has been an ongoing debate. That is why we're saying we have to have a blue water navy, get more IACs. So that is a problem.
China built China-Pakistan economic corridor, yes. China-Myanmar economic corridor. These two corridors are basically for pack the India from west or east side. So India should also build an economic corridor to India-Vietnam economic corridor by which we can improve our bilateral relation with Vietnam also, and so forth. As the development of the northeast states are also concerned, they can be gradually increase their economy also. Why India is not building an economic corridor with Vietnam? In the war time, we can also mobilize our force to the nearest point of Chinese naval headquarters. Why?
Sir, there are certain problems, especially because we can especially do that, as you said, connecting the northeast. If we build a corridor through Bangladesh, then we go to the northeast and to the Myanmar.
Why? Why Bangladesh? At the time of peace time, we have a special route for Siliguri corridor to Chicken Neck.
Right.
I'm talking about Manipur to Vietnam.
Sir, what we are seeing in the Myanmari district that abuts us, it is the Chin state, the Chin district. So we are seeing that there is intense civil war going on there, and all the guerrilla fighters are concentrated in that region. So that is the reason.
They are fighting with their internal problem, not fighting with India. The same problem China faced when China built their CPEC in Pakistan, because Baluch are also opposing China, but China is not going to stop. Rigorously China invest in Pakistan and build CPEC and connect to Gwadar port with Xinjiang province. But why we are not handle the small problem? The infiltration and insurgency in Myanmar is comparatively very low if you compare with the insurgency in Pakistan.
But sir, in Myanmar, what we are seeing, it is a full-blown civil war. So if we have to build a corridor through that, we'll have to take permission from the army junta.
But if China building this same, how China same at the time in same country, Myanmar, China is building China-Myanmar corridor.
Yes, sir.
But India cannot build India-Vietnam corridor through Myanmar. There's a political advantage which China getting.
I think China has better relations because it has an authoritarian government itself. So it has some good relations with the military junta there. I think that could be a reason. Other than that, sir, I cannot think of any right now.
The same problem India facing is waste boundary.
Yes, sir.
You see, India built a gas pipeline through Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, named TOPPER pipeline, and it's worked properly. But India is not going to build a pipeline through Iran, Pakistan, India. Why? Why we are trading oil by Iran by the ships? We can easily build a pipeline through Pakistan. And so far as the security concern is concerned, there is an existing pipeline, Tapi pipeline goes through Afghanistan's most unstable country, and Pakistan also. But in the pressure of USA, we cancelled the pipeline with Iran.
Right, sir.
But we can handle the pressure of USA at the time of Ukraine war. Why we are not building a pipeline? What America will do to India? Because India right now is standing at the position where no superpower can bargain with us.
Right.
Why we are not building this?
So in fact, we have the trade of oil with Iran has considerably come down because America said do not trade with them, they'll put sanctions on us. So sir, that is a reason.
America also put the largest sanction to USA. Although India buy the largest amount of oil in the time of war time from Russia.
But sir, India had a certain clause there that you can buy that to accommodate the global oil prices. Whereas in Iran, it was successively, considerably, they started with less sanctions, then they said they started decreasing the cap. So now we have only very little trade with Iran in terms of oil.
So as far as the oil is concerned, we have only three options: Russia, Iran, Saudi Arab. Russia is a part of certain scenario, that's why we are buying oil from the Russia. But in evergreen time, we buy our fuel from Qatar, Saudi and Iran. So why we will not going to build a pipeline?
So I think, sir, we can look into that, and I think it would need some political will as well. And sir, it would also need the intense involvement of our Ministry of External Affairs. And sir, that is another thing. David C. Markey in his article "India's Foreign Policy: A Software Change," he says that we need to overhaul our whole Indian foreign service. We need to induct more officers, and we need to build more missions to outer countries. So I think we can certainly do something about that by inculcating changes.
Please.
Okay, Anshul. You tried for CDS?
Sir, I had filled the form, but I couldn't go to give the exam. I didn't go.
Did you have any coaching?
No, sir.
No coaching?
Nothing at all.
You filled the form?
Yes, sir.
And why did you not go for the exam?
Because sir, when the exam was to be conducted, we only had one center in Uttarakhand, that was in Dehradun. And I was at that time either I was in Almora or some other place in Nainital, and my mains was also approaching, so I didn't go.
Location is a problem, or mains were coming?
Sir, both of them, because if you have to travel from Almora to Dehradun, it takes you 1 day to travel, then you get tired, you have to rest, then you have to come back as well. So
tired.
That was also an issue.
You get tired, is it?
I don't, sir, anyone would.
So you are just about 24 years of age, rather 23 plus, to get tired, is it?
No, sir.
You'll have to work for a very long hours as IAS officer. Okay. Public speaking is one of your fortes, is it?
I used to give speeches, etc. when I was in class 11th, 12th in my school.
What do you notice in the children at your age now, generally, that they are not able to speak well, most of them? Though they are very good, they can speak individually very well, but they are not able to speak well when it comes to speaking in front of other people. And that affects them a lot. What steps will you take, or what do you recommend that people should develop speaking skills after, say, 11th, 12th onwards, or maybe even earlier than that?
I think one of the most important thing is practice, because however good a speaker is, if he doesn't practice,
practice where? With whom? How?
Like sir, we have different clubs, like there's a global club called the Toastmasters Club, so they have branches in most of the cities, so we can go be a part of the club.
What about schools? Can it be inculcated in school?
Yes sir, we can have an elocution class, so where every child gets a chance to go and speak in front of others for a minute or two.
So if it is just for once in a while kind of a thing, then participation of that type, then how will people improve?
So we will have to find ways for that.
No, what are the ways you recommend?
Even in class, we can make a group of 6 or 7 people. So every week we can have one elocution class or 2 classes. Then after that, they can go home. If someone is living nearby, they can come together and they can practice among themselves. And the teacher can give them different things. You go home, you read about this and make a video.
But is it happening?
That's the
it doesn't
problem.
happen.
It is not happening.
Okay, so if you are a member in the board to select people, and there are 2 people absolutely identical in their knowledge and expertise and looks and everything, let's say, hypothetical case. One chap speaks better English than the other, and there is only one vacancy. Who would you prefer to take?
Sir, I would see who's the one better with he's able to communicate his views well
So
or not.
language, isn't it?
Not language,
or
sir,
the
matlab the
ability to express.
Yeah, ability to express or to communicate what he's
So
feeling.
that means ability to express and public speaking are very important issues. So that is exactly I was saying how it can be improved. Because moment he is not able to speak in public or in front of other people, his confidence level goes down, all his knowledge goes down the drain. He is not able to communicate. Anyway, let's talk about South China Sea. Tell me the location, the neighboring countries. What else can you tell me? The significance of South China Sea. What is China doing there? Why it is irksome to certain people? And how it is important for India? These 4-5 questions.
So South China Sea is in the East Asian region. The neighboring countries are China, then there is Taiwan, there is Philippines, then there is Vietnam, Cambodia, then we have Malaysia as well, and Brunei.
How do you pronounce? It's Brunei. How do you pronounce?
Brunei.
That's how it is spelled.
Okay.
So how do you pronounce it?
Brunei.
Okay, it's Brunei.
Brunei.
Huh? This is very funny. That's how it is, English language.
Papua New Guinea. And then, sir, we are seeing what China is claiming. China is claiming because of the historical reasons. They say we have a 9-dash line or an 11-dash line around the South China Sea, and we have been fishing there, so the whole South China Sea belongs to us. And sir, South China Sea is a strategic region because it also have many mineral deposits like the oil deposits, and it is also a very rich fishing ground. And it also has certain coral reefs like the Scarborough Shoal and the Spratly Islands. So what China is doing,
What is he doing in those islands?
So China has gone there and claimed that those islands at its own, and it is militarizing those islands by building airstrips and placing missiles, and it is also reclaiming some islands. It is initially building those islands in the sea by using sand, etc., and then it is stationing its military personnel there. And so what also is happening, there is civil military fusion that we are seeing in the South China Sea. The South China Sea, China is using its fishing vessels as civilian militia against other countries and to threaten them into submission.
What else is important for? Oil and gas?
Yes, oil and gas and the shipping routes.
Shipping routes. So how is it important for India? For 2 reasons, tell me.
So in case of war with China, we can choke the Malacca Strait and we can choke the shipping lanes in the South China Sea, and if that happens, the economy of China would tank and it would help India in a case of war. That is one thing.
No, it's other way around also.
Yes, other way around. Yes. Because most of the open sea lanes of communication is essential for trade and for strategic reasons.
Which strait? Strait Malacca or which strait? A trade is passing through which strait?
Sir, the things that come from China that they manufacture and export to India.
So security and safety of that area is very important because it is passing through, our trade is passing through that Strait of Malacca.
And sir, India wishes to emerge as a net security provider in the Indian Ocean region, and so that is why it is also an essential strategic playground for India.
And it is also important for the world because 21% trade of the world is passing through that. So that is about your South China Sea. Tell me something about Maldives. What is the situation now? What is the situation? Why have we come into a situation like this now? And what is our interest over there? How is Maldives important for us?
So Maldives essentially is a group of islands in the Indian Ocean. So it has a very strategic location. We can essentially say that there are stationary aircraft carriers that the Maldives can act as. So India had good relations and sometimes bad relations as well with Maldives. It has been alternating, like Abdullah Yamun and then Ibrahim Soili, and then we have Muizi now. So what essentially is happening, Muizi came in power on an India out camping because we were stationing some Dornier aircraft and other vessels in an atoll in, I think, the Eddu atoll on Maldives, and there were some military personnel. So there were 2 camps in Maldives. One was with India and the other was against India, and Muizi came to power on India out camping. So now our relations has tanked a little bit with Maldives because he went on a visit to Turkey first, then to China first. Before that, the Maldivian president used to come to India, and it used to follow an India first policy. So if we see that China makes strategic inroads into Maldives, since it has so much trade relations with Maldives, it would place a security concern for India, because then Chinese would send their ships, spying ships to Maldives, as it has been doing in Sri Lanka. So it is of big concern for India.
What about trade?
The trade as well.
Tourism.
Tourism, yes, sir.
It will get affected. What else will get affected?
Trade, tourism. Then there's a diaspora relations, especially because Maldives is a Muslim majority country, and it might, spill the tensions might spill over to India, as we have seen the tensions has been spilling over to India from Middle East. So that can be a concern.
Okay. Good. Well done.
Mr. Anshul,
Yes, sir.
you are from St. Stephen's College.
Yes, sir.
Now, there is a Ministry of Education ranking.
Yes, sir.
The perception is that St. Stephen's College is the best or among the best in the country.
Yes.
But when the ranking comes out, it is never on the even top 5. Why is this?
Yes, sir. Recently also we have come down from rank 8 to rank 11. But sir, I think it has more to do with the parameters how the NRF is set. Because if we see St. Stephen's, we hardly have around 3,000 total students, whereas other colleges have students that are 3 or 4 times more than our college. So what essentially happens, the research paper publications and the outcomes of graduate students would certainly be more in other colleges because they have more students. That is the first thing. And second thing is we have very less departments in our college. Like we do not have zoology honors or biology honors. We do not have a political science honors in our college. So that also hampers our performance in many divisions like the research and graduate outcomes. So,
Anything being done to address these things?
so there was a step that was being taken by the college. They were saying we would make the college autonomous. That would give them more fund and more power to institute certain courses like political science honors and biology honors, that what we're talking about. But then there was some protest. They said that it should not be made autonomous because then it would get expensive and all. So the step was stalled. So nothing as of now.
All right. Now, you have interest in yoga,
Yes, sir.
right? So, if you imagine in your mind, the face of science, generally the picture of Albert Einstein comes.
Yes, sir.
Face of art, Picasso.
Yes, sir.
Who would you suggest for yoga? Who would be the right face of yoga?
If we speak generally, so most people would say Swami Ramdev because he has made this yoga thing into a pop culture thing now. Because everyone is practicing yoga because of him.
Okay,
Swami
so Swami Ramdev, you said he has made it popular. What are the other criteria you will keep in mind?
Sir, because sir, we can say Maharishi Patanjali because he was the progenitor of yoga. He has written those yoga sutras.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
So I was saying, if we have to go by other criteria, I think we can start with Maharishi Patanjali because he collected all the yoga aphorisms and
No, you said
Swami Ramdev.
Ramdev.
Yes, sir.
Now you have to justify what is the criteria you kept in mind. One is you said he has made it popular.
Yes, sir. He has made it popular.
Okay.
And sir, he was the first one to bring it to the masses because before
Same
that,
thing.
yes,
What else?
same thing, sir. He has instituted very big ashram, especially in Haridwar and other places where people go and get treated. So he has also bring in naturopathy and other Ayurvedic sciences. And so the third thing, he has made Ayurveda and yoga into a more scientific discipline. Like in Haridwar, we have labs that test on the Ayurvedic medicines and on yoga principles. They write proper research studies and they publish in international journals. So that is another thing.
All right, all right. Now, you're from Uttarakhand.
Yes, sir.
Now, Uttarakhand has made tourism a central part of its developmental process. But we are seeing the drawbacks, impact in Joshimath. So tell me, what is the way out?
I think the government has done rightly by saying that tourism should be encouraged. But what we can do is we can diversify our tourism policy. So not only relying on religious tourism, we had around 55 lakh people who visited Char Dham this year. So not only relying on religious tourism, we can diversify into other areas. Like we can go for night tourism, we can go for winter tourism, we can go for adventure tourism. Even I had done this course of adventure course in NIM Uttarkashi, they were talking about this. Then apart from this, there are many other unexplored places, like all of us know about Char Dhams. but few of us knows about the 5 Panchbatris and the Panchkedars. So we can diversify it into that area. And talking about my own district, Nainital, everyone comes to Nainital, but there are many beautiful places near Nainital, like we have Binaya, we have Pangot, Kilbari, etc. So we can diversify places, develop new places.
So,
we can, yeah.
right. So tourism, but it's leading to, broadening of road, leading to more avalanches, landslides, disaster. You're not concerned about that?
Sir,
environmental problem.
yes, sir. So, sir, if I had to give an anecdote, there was one Mr. Darban Singh Negi, he was the first Victoria crossing. And then because of his bravery, he was asked from George Swift, what do you want in return? So he said, I want 2 things. I want an English medium school in my village, and then a railway line connecting Rishikesh to Karnaprayag. So, sir, development has been a centerpiece, and even without tourism, I do not think denying a road to a pahadi that is sitting on a top, that would be right, just in the name of ecological balance or environmental protection. So that would not be right. And sir, we need roads because of strategic importance. Also, we have districts that.
But say building, 4-lane road
Yes,
in Badrinath, in Joshimath, Rudraprayag. Is it safe for the environment, for the hill?
Sir, although there are some concerns, but we can mitigate those things. Like recently, NGT has said that there would not be explosions in building of tunnels and roads. There would be a bore drilling machine. So that was one thing. We can use different technologies like using local materials or using plastic in
All
construction.
right. Now let's move to another topic. You have given CDS, Central Armed Police Force. You have applied for that,
Yes,
right?
for that, right?
So tell me something about the defense budget this time, the interim defense budget. Are you aware of anything?
Sir, although I'm not aware about the exact numbers, but I'm aware about the general idea. So what is happening, we are seeing the defense budget, it is more skewed towards salaries and pensions. And we have less funds for defense modernization and having the arsenals and...
What is the amount that has been allocated?
Sir, I'm not aware about the exact numbers. I'm really sorry, sir.
It's
I'll read more about it.
6,22,000.
Like 22.
So, do you think in a poor country like India, allocating so much resources for defense is correct?
Sir, it is indeed said defense is costly, but a war is costlier. So when push comes to shove, we should not be lacking.
Okay.
Sir, I do think so, both bread and butter.
So is there no other way out? We keep increasing the defense budget. Tomorrow it will be 7.22, then it will be 10 lakh. Is it correct?
Sir, like we have seen the
What
government...
can be done? You tell me, what else, what is the other way around?
So we have this brilliant scheme called the Agniveer scheme. So what they essentially did to decrease the teeth to tail ratio and to decrease the expenditure on salaries and pensions, they inducted this scheme.
Okay.
So this was one
What
step.
else?
Second, we can have private sector investing in defense things. Like recently during the construction of HAL Tejas, we had seen that many private MSMEs took part in that. And there is some growing investment.
You mean Atmanirbhar Bharat?
Atmanirbhar Bharat, yes.
So you tell me something about Atmanirbhar Bharat. Has it succeeded? What are the facts and figures? Do you have something to show that something is moving on that front?
Sir, we recently launched our first indigenously built aircraft carrier. Then we have inducted HAL Tejas,
Okay.
Mark 1, Mark 2, etc. So, and sir, we are having this PLI scheme in 16-20 different sectors.
So, any facts and figures you have to show that so much export we have done?
So I do not have the figures.
Okay, tell me what are the challenges, suppose, because we are pushing
Right.
Atmanirbhar Bharat in a big way. What are the challenges? What are the problems that we would face?
Sir, we have faced challenges, especially in the WTO. They are saying that India is creating import restrictions. So some say that we are going back to the state of import substitution stage that we are in the Nehruvian era. Because we are stopping imports and we are saying that we need to have
No,
our
I'm
own
talking
home.
about in arms and ammunition and missiles and technology export.
Export.
There, what are the challenges we face?
Sir, the first thing is the structure of the ordnance factories and the DRDO. Like we are seeing that recently also the ordnance factory were corporatized. Then there were some issues with the like we have seen in the Ukraine war as well, that artillery shells that need to be manufactured within the countries. So we are seeing that we do not have that much manufacturing capability right now. So we need to increase that. And like this, the Tejas aircrafts, we are exporting it to other countries. We should more focus on export of BrahMos missiles. Like we recently gave it to one of the Southeast Asian countries, but more could be done in that realm.
All right, thank you.
अंशुल,
Yes, sir.
आप किसी क्वेश्चन पे जब फंस जा रहे थे तो आप काफी स्ट्रेस में क्यों आ जा रहे थे? जैसे हमने आपको काफी देर तक रोक दिया इंडिया वियतनाम कॉरिडोर, स्पेशली ईरान और रशिया, चेहरे पे स्ट्रेस दिखने लगा। दिस इंटरव्यू इज नॉट एग्जाम फॉर जजिंग योर नॉलेज, आपके पर्सनालिटी और वही स्ट्रेस देखने का है। जरूरी नहीं कि आप सब सीख जाएंगे, सब सीखे ना तो डायरेक्ट आपको एम्बेसडर बना के भेजता यूएन में, बहुत जगह सीखने को मिलेगा। तो उस तरह की फीलिंग नहीं आना चाहिए हमें क्या हो गया। दूसरा, जो रसिया के लिए हम डिसीजन ले सकते हैं वो हम ईरान के लिए नहीं ले सकते।
राइट सर।
लेवल ऑफ द फ्रेंडशिप, कि ईरान से हमें फ्यूल, काउंटर पार्ट ऑफ चाइना, पोर्ट ऑफ ग्वादर, लेकिन रशिया से हमारी पूरी डिफेंस टेक्नोलॉजी रशिया पे डिपेंडेंट है। रशिया विल कोलैप्स और डिफेंस इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर विल कोलैप्स, तो दोनों पे डिपेंड करता है। इस चीज को आपने छोड़ी, ठीक है। दूसरा, म्यांमार की अनस्टेबिलिटी चाइना के लिए प्रॉफिटेबल है, बिकॉज चाइनी मिलिट्री, म्यांमार मिलिट्री को इज फेवर टू चाइना, आंग सांग सू की फेवर टू इंडिया। That's why China will making Myanmar economic corridor, but India is not going to make. ठीक है।
Yes.
बाकी चीजों को देखिए, स्ट्रेस वगैरह नहीं रखिएगा, बाकी सब ठीक है। ठीक है। वो आप थोड़ा सा फास्ट बोल रहे थे, उसको धीमा करने के चक्कर में गड़बड़ हो रहे थे।
हाँ सर, ये
शुरुआत में आपके टो बहुत उठ रहे थे, पैर आप रखे थे ना, बार बार ऐसे टो।
सर वो इसी वजह से होगा, वर्ड्स आ नहीं रहे थे दिमाग में ना, तो
बिल्कुल स्ट्रेस जाहिर हो रही थी, बॉडी से निकल रही थी।
तो वो चीजें ध्यान दीजिएगा, वहाँ टो वैसे बार ना हो। ठीक है।